Welcome back to Top 5 Scary. I'm your horrifying host, Kyle McWaters, and this week we're looking at some people who claim to actually be someone else. I'm talking about past lives, people who have left one and started another, but with the memories, fears, and knowledge of the past. Reoccurring dreams, unusual pains, explicable talents. Who knows? Maybe you were Elvis in your past life. Before we dive in, as always, if you like what we do here, throw a thumbs up down below or a comment. Let us know what you think about reincarnation. Did I used to be a great surfer or a rock star? I don't know, you let me know. Here's the top 5 disturbing real stories from past lives. Number 5, Kevin. Numerous cases of kids who report memories of previous lives have been studied over the last 50 years. James Leoninger is an American man who at the tender age of only 2 began having extreme nightmares of a fiery plane crash. Scary. He then described to his parents about being an American fighter pilot who perished when his plane was shot down during World War II. He gave details that included names of American aircraft carriers, first and last names of friends on the ship with him, and a location around him where he believes his plane went down. At 2. Yeah, just 2 years old. A couple things here. Do 2-year-olds even know what or how planes work? This kid's rifling off coordinates like he's dropping in after the gulag. This is wild. Apparently they were at a museum of aircrafts when Kevin's visions and dreams really took off, pun intended. I mean, maybe he was just fascinated by planes. You know how kids get, right? They like stuff like that. Apparently he went on to tell his parents that he had flown a plane called the Corsair, which took him off a boat called the Natoma, to which they had no idea what he was talking about. James's father decided to do some research of his own. He discovered that there had been a small escort carrier named the Natoma Bay, which had been in the Battle of Iwo Jima. Yo, this kid's giving you drop coordinates, he's IDing planes, that should be enough proof, no? Hey, you better salute your own son and thank him for his service, holy moly. Research proved that there was an actual pilot named James Huston. His plane did get hit by Japanese fire and it was in 1945. I think that's enough proof we need that reincarnations are real. He's gonna be really good at Call of Duty as well, you know? Number 4, Andrew. In 2014, the parents of a young Andrew Lucas began suspecting that their beloved son may be possessed or even have some sort of ghost inside him. This happened after Andrew started crying almost non-stop, asking why he would continuously claim that his parents let him die in a fire. When his mother, Michelle, asked him what fire he was talking about, Andrew started telling her details about his past life as a US Marine. Hold on. Apparently this happens way more than I thought. This is like really common amongst youngins, you know that, right? Eventually, Mom used these details to uncover the story of a US Marine Sergeant Val Lewis, who died in an explosive attack in Lebanon in 1983. The details of what happened to Lewis and the story Andrew told her were too similar to let pass. Mom decided to take the issue to the TV show Ghost Inside My Child, to which Andrew was given several photographs of military men to look at. He then stopped and zoomed in on one image of Sergeant Val Lewis. Michelle then took her son to Lewis's gravesite in Georgia, to which Andrew laid some flowers. Aww. And this is also probably really jarring for her son, so he's a brave guy, you know? I mean, the images of war in that young man's head, that's gotta be scary for the little guy, you know? Also for Mom, those are hard words hearing from your son. He apparently ran right to the grave, pointing to the name on it saying, "That's my friend." The grave also belonged to a fallen member of the Marine Corps. Now, since it was on a TV show, my first gut feeling is to not really believe this. Apparently, it's been rumored also to be a hoax and is still under investigation if the boy's information was all correct. But for the most part, it seems like maybe the idea of reincarnation just is still blocked by some theorists from actually exploring the idea. I don't know. I kind of believe it, you know? It's scary. Number 3, Anne Frank. Wait a minute, like Anne Frank? Yeah. Apparently Swedish-born Barbro Karlin, who at a young age felt like she wasn't really herself. Born in Sweden in 1954, 9 years after Anne Frank died, she felt like she didn't really fit in. Her parents dismissed her on being called Anne and thought it was pretty weird, a drastic name change from Barbara to Anne. She apparently consistently asked her parents to where her, quote, real parents were, which is terrifying on its own and also really sad. That would be hard to hear as a parent. As Barbara Karlin made her way through school, she was introduced to Anne Frank in class during the 1960s. Like many students learning about the Holocaust and concentration camps for the first time, Barbara was shocked upon hearing Frank's story. She was stunned at how much she found in common with what she was reading. As she and her family were vacationing in Amsterdam, Anne Frank's story was well known worldwide. The secret annex she called home had now been transformed into a museum. Barbara apparently showed her parents the quick shortcuts to get to the Anne Frank house, upon which it all clicked. As she visited the home, she was apparently transported back in time. Her story even led to her meeting Anne Frank's cousin. He was skeptical at first, not sharing anything about him or the family, but oddly enough, he said that only the family would have known what they talked about. After their meeting one-on-one, the man believed she really was the reincarnation of his long-lost cousin. Spooky, okay. I wonder if they do a 23andMe test if it would show your related family. I did that ancestry spit tube and all my cousins are actually all my cousins, so who knows. Number 2, the fourth. In 1996, Sonam Wangdu was just another happy-go-lucky kid. Cartoons, Power Rangers, you know, kid stuff. It's the 90s. However, Sonam was anything but an ordinary child. Apparently to this day, he is recognized and revered by the Buddhist community in Nepal and Tibet as a very important reincarnation, the new Lama. Growing up in Seattle, the boy agreed he would travel to Kathmandu for education and afterwards he would live in the monastery. He was given the name Trulkula, which means reincarnation in Tibetan. Now, the spooky scary part. Deshung Rinpoche III moved to Seattle in 1960 after military took over Tibet and taught at the University of Washington. He was said to be a reincarnation of the original Deshung Rinpoche who lived in Tibet in the 19th century. Before he died, he told his students that he would be reborn in the Seattle area. While pregnant with Trulkula, Carolyn Lama, aka Mum, had dreams and received signs that she interpreted as evidence her child would be born as a reincarnation. The boy's father, sadly, who perished in a traffic accident in 1993, also had similar dreams. Of the hundreds of lamas said to be in reincarnations in the Tibetan Buddhist faith, apparently only a couple have come from the West. Mom and the boy underwent several interviews in Seattle before Trulkula was brought to Nepal before being formally enthroned in a ceremony attended by thousands of people. He now goes by Deshung Rinpoche IV. This is wild. I'm shook right now. This is awesome. Look it up. I'm kind of freaking out right now. This is a pretty significant event right here. And number 1, Arthur Flowerdew. James Arthur Flowerdew, great name, was born in England in 1906 where he grew up and lived a pretty normal life. He never left the UK and wasn't fond on traveling much. At about 12, he began to have strange recurring dreams and hallucinations over time, crystallizing into a very clear and vivid image. His dreams were riddled with stone cities carved into cliffs, surrounded by deserts. He didn't really understand what it all meant. There was temples, streets, lanes, structures, as well as a huge boulder just outside this place he was picturing. Desolate desert wasteland daydreams turned into nightmares. One day he was struck with a vivid hallucination of being in the desert in a busy city. So real yet so foreign. He grew up, he grew old, and only ever leaving England once to go to the French coast, the dreams of that mysterious stone city always continued. Arthur one day was watching a documentary on the BBC, and it featured a segment on the ancient city of Petra in Jordan. Arthur nearly fainted. It all came rushing back to him. This was the city that he had always seen. He called the BBC and, scoffing him off as a hoax, they asked to interview him. Even archaeological experts and a world-class authority on Petra quizzed him extensively, and he nailed each question with ease, even correcting experts on some of their research. The Jordanian government even invited him to come out to Jordan, where he continued to baffle experts. Flowerdew was able to immediately find his way around the city without a guide or even a map, giving precise details on landmarks and even pointing out sites that had not been discovered or dug up yet. This is real, like 100% real. He had no interest or motive behind this, he was just having weird dreams. Like something itchy on your brain finally scratched, you know? Well, there you have it, folks, 5 real stories from people who apparently have been to infinity and beyond. These are awesome. I'm gonna be up for hours tonight trying to remember what my past life could have been. I was born blind in one eye, so maybe I can start there. As always, if you liked the video, make sure to give us a thumbs up or leave a comment down below. What are some crazy past life experiences you know of? We'd love to hear about them, and until next time, I'm Kyle McWaters, or maybe someone else. I don't know. As always, stay spooky, everybody.